All right, we're going to begin a series of lectures and videos on the secret of key, the end of injury, the comprehensive program designed to reduce and even prevent athletic injuries and improve performance. You know, I wrote this book way back in the 1980s, and it's one of the most endorsed books in history. It's endorsed by Texas, Oklahoma, LSU, Rice, the Houston Rockets, the New Orleans Jazz, dozens of high schools. It's just a great book. And here's, let me blow this up so you can see it. Here's the entire premise. There's only three ways that a sports injury can occur. One is overstretching or flexibility. If you tear or pull a muscle because you've overstretched your tendons, ligaments, or muscles. Two, the second way an injury can occur is by falling down, breaking bones, tearing muscles and joints. And the solution to that is a proper falling techniques. And the third way is getting hit and not getting hurt. How to take a punch or how to take contact and not get hurt. Well, I want to tell you something. All three of those techniques have been proven effective and developed for years, hundreds of years, thousands of years by the martial arts. The flexibility of the martial artist is unsurpassed. Judo people don't get hurt when they fall down. They don't get injured when they hit the ground. And in my jiu-jitsu style, you don't get hurt when you get hit. You know, a relaxed athlete can perform a lot better than an athlete who is all tensed up. And size and strength can become overcome by using balance points. So let's go get right into this book here. And we're going to start off by examining why the techniques in this book will hurt. Why the techniques in this book will stop you from getting hurt. There's no better way in the world to learn how to fall and not get hurt than to use judo falling techniques. The most flexible people in the world are martial artists. There's only one art form in the world that teaches you to develop the injury prevention powers of getting hit and not get hurt, and that's jiu-jitsu ki. There's no better exercise in the world for controlling the mind than yoga, zen, and meditation from the martial arts. You know, Aikido is 2,000 years old. This art that shows people how to overcome size and balance. Proper breathing techniques have always been a part of the martial arts. The most effective striking and powerful things in the world are the martial art techniques, and the techniques of one sport can be applied to the techniques of the other sports. So let's get started here by learning some flexibility techniques here. You know, you should always warm up before you do any exercise. So many of these athletes just go out there and they just are loosening up and doing really nothing that's going to increase their flexibility. So let's learn some basic warm-up exercises and some techniques that will help us with our flexibility. You know, back pain is caused by being unflexible but not being prepared and not being warmed up. I like to start off by just simply leaning over and touching the ground with my legs straight and dropping my palm heel to the ground. Very nice little technique that will start you out. It'll make you nice and relaxed and help loosen up your back. Let's get into our flexibility exercises. We leaned over there for around 30 seconds. Just get loosened up. Now we're going to start with trunk rotation. We're going to put our hands on our hips. And we're going to roll in a slow circle clockwise and then counterclockwise. We're going to rotate all the way around like the parts of a clock in a circle. To the left about 8 to 10 times. And to the right about 8 to 10 times. This is a great little thing to get our hips loosened up and to get ourselves warm up. I never see football players and basketball players do any of these warm-ups. So obviously that's one of the reasons that they get hurt more than they should, because they're not warming up. They're going out there and doing a lot of exercises that could actually wind up hurting them. So we're rotating our hips in a circle to the right and left. Now we're going to do what's called body twisting. We're going to take our hands, put our elbows up at shoulder width, and we're going to twist our body vigorously to the right and left. It's sort of like you're almost elbowing somebody to the right and left. So I want to twist as hard as I can to the right and to the left, and I'm going to do it more like in an elbow fashion. So I'm torquing all my powers there and really getting a lot of speed and generation there. This is really going to strengthen and loosen up my back, and it's going to make me feel a lot better, and the power comes from the twisting. I'm going to breathe out on each one of those. So I want to do 10 to 12 twisting pulls on each side. So we've rotated our hips, now we're twisting our body. Now we're going to do arm circles. Here we're going to take our arms in big circles and swing them around forward and backwards. I want you to keep your arms straight. I don't want you to bend them. I want you to keep your arms straight as you make these giant circles. You're going to do it forward 10 to 12 times, and you're going to do it backwards 10 to 12 times. The power, the secret of this flexibility technique is to get those arms all the way up over the head and to make very large, big circles in both directions. Do at least 10 to 12 circles in each direction. Now we want to warm up our head. So we're going to take our head and we're going to rotate it in a small circle clockwise. And as you do this, you'll just actually feel it going around and crunching on your neck. You know, it's really funny. I don't know what all that movement is in there. I guess it's your vertebrae cracking against each other and stuff. You want to go forward. Now you want to do it the other way. Now you're going to circle counterclockwise the other way 10 to 12 times. And here we're going to finish off with a little shoulder shrugging because we'll loosen up our neck now. So now we want to use our shoulders. So we're going to take our shoulders and we're going to roll them up and roll them down. Roll them forward and roll them backwards. You're going to roll them up 12 times. You're going to roll them back 12 times. So this is shoulder shrugging or shoulder circles. We rotated our neck. Now we're going to do our shoulder circles. Now we're going to go down to a horse stretch. This is a nice little stretch, and this really helps get our hips loosened up because one of the biggest problems that you have is that you're not loosening up your hips when you're doing your stretching. You're just trying to loosen up your muscles, and that doesn't work good. You got to get your hips loose. So we're going to try and get as parallel to the ground as we can, and we're going to push out on our legs as much as we can and trying to get our hips stretched. We're going to squat and push forward. You also can rock from side to side and drop down to the ground. Now we're going to do a W stretch and a V stretch. So let me show you what those look like to begin with. So what we're going to do here is we're going to lean over and grab a hold of both of our ankles here, and we're going to squeeze. And you're going to try and drop your hands all the way to the ground in the front of you. So you're going to lean over and grab a hold of both your ankles and just sort of rock from the left to the right. You can rock from your left to your right. You want to do at least 10 to 12 of these on every single one of these exercises. Now you can put your hands behind your head. And here we're going to just pull on the back of our thighs, back of our legs, to try and get us nice and stretched. And we're going to just sit there. I like to lay over in this position and in the top position here for 20 or 30 seconds, maybe even a full minute, because this is really letting our body weight stretch our hamstrings. When you feel more confident, when you feel looser, I want you to lean over to your right and grab a hold of your as low as you can down. You can grab all the way down to your ankle if you want, and grab your other hand behind your knee and pull your entire body and your head and your chest over towards your knee. It's real important that you pull all the way down so you can get a good stretch there. I want you to do that to the right. Hold it for 3 to 5 seconds and just stay down there, and then go over to the left and hold it for 3 to 5 seconds. Now these are very important stretches here, so I want you to look at them again. You're going to the middle and you're rocking to the side, back and forth with my legs in the middle. Then I'm going to put my hands behind my head and just lean over and let my body weight just sort of pull myself down there. Then I'm going to go over to my right leg, and I'm going to hold it for 3 to 5 seconds, and then once you get better, you can hold it for 10 to 20 seconds. Then I'm going to go over to my left side and hold it there for 10 to 20 seconds. Now we've loosened up our legs a little bit enough so we can go down to the ground. When we go down to the ground, we're going to start off with a butterfly stretch. Now a lot of people do this wrong, so I want you to pay attention to what I'm telling you here. I want your elbows to be on your legs, and I want you to push down with your elbows so that you're trying to force your knees to the ground. Then you can also rock your knees side to side so that you're going one leg to the ground, then the other leg to the ground. One leg to the ground, then the other leg to the ground. And pull and push, and you just want to stretch. You can try and bend over, depends on how far you can pull your legs in, and try and touch your head to your toes. You have to be pretty flexible to touch your head to your toes, but that's because we got my hips warmed up and stuff. But I want to do the butterfly for at least 20 to 30 seconds. Now I'm going to put both of my legs straight out in front, and this is called the straight-legged stretch, and it's very hard to do. It's very hard to hold it. Most people can only do what I am seen doing in that left-handed picture, where I have my legs out and I bent my back just a little bit, and I'm holding on to it. That's as far as they're going to get. But that's the start of the stretch. That's not the finish of the stretch. That's the start of the stretch. So from here, I'm going to pull myself down and pull my chest down as far as I can. And I want to hold this for 10 to 20 seconds. And let me tell you something, just hold it for 3 seconds is very, very hard. This is a very hard stretch to do. It's very good for you. And most people are only capable of doing what you see me doing on the left, and that's just having their back almost completely straight and just their head. As you get your hips more flexible, you'll be able to do a much deeper lunge out there or stretch out there where you're going to pull your head all the way down to your knees. Now it's okay if you sort of lift your knees a little bit to get it down there, but where the stretching is going to come in is I want you to hold it for 30 seconds. Now we should be loose enough to do the V stretch. Here we're spreading our legs nice and wide, wide as you can, and we're going to lean over, drop our chest down to our right leg, drop our chest down to our left leg. This looks a lot easier than it is, but it's very comfortable, and it's a very comfortable stretch to do. It feels really good when you're stretching. I really like to do the stretch. I like to sit like this in front of the television with my legs spread wide and push my body forward and to hold it. It's a great stretch, and you should be able to, after no more than a couple of weeks of stretching practice, be able to get all the way down there and put your head and your knee on the ground to the right, hold it for 10 to 20 seconds, then switch it around and go to the left. Now, here's the part that I just very seldom see people be able to do. You're actually going to take your hands, put your elbows on the ground, and hopefully put your head on the ground. Most people can't even get at all down. I mean, not even close to getting down because they haven't stretched their hips and they haven't done their flexibility right. This is a very hard thing to do. It requires a nice hamstring stretch, but it feels good. And if you'll just lean over like this, even if you might not be able to get but a few inches over, lean over like this and hold it for while you watch television. Just sit like that and watch television. Straighten up and then sit back down and stretch. So you're going from your right to your left all the way to the ground. Great stretch, pretty nice. Now we're going to do hip stretch, because I keep telling you, one of the reasons you're not flexible is you're not stretching your hips. So I'm going to put my knees to the sides and I'm going to lean forward. And I'm going to try and get my hips all the way down to the ground. And I'm doing that by going out further. You can bounce and you can hold this. This is a great stretch for building a lot of flexibility in your core and in your hamstrings and in your groin. You won't have a groin pull. If you can do this stretch, if you can get down there, you're very seldom likely going to ever pull your groin. So all your running backs need to really learn this stretch, because a lot of the running backs are pulling their groins because they're just not flexible because they have such these huge big legs. Well, it's not their legs that are causing them to pull their groin. It's their hips. You've got to get those hips loosened. So if you'll sit on the ground, start spreading your legs sideways, and you're going to find that most people can't even get their legs past my arms. And then lean forward until you can finally, hopefully, go all the way down and touch your chest on the ground and force your hips all the way down to the ground. I like to hold this position for 10 to 20 seconds, as much as you feel comfortable. And you want to do this 4 or 5 times. Well, here's the splits. These are called the American splits. I cannot do the Japanese splits. That's a little harder to do. The American splits is you're going to take your leg and you're going to put it out, and you're going to put your hands out in front of it to support your body weight, and you're going to bounce up and down. And you're going to try and touch your hips to the ground. Now, if you can't touch your hips to the ground, it helps if you lean forward. So you're going to try and force your hips down, but then you're going to lean over. And you're going to lean and push your hips all the way to the ground. If you can do the American splits, you're in great shape, and you're going to have a lot of good things happen. Now, I've done it to the right, and I've done it to the left. I'm a little more flexible on my left-hand side, so it depends which side that you're used to doing it on as to how far you can go down, but you can get a good, nice, deep stretch. Now we want to stretch our back here, and we stretch our back by simply sitting on our knees, and we're going to lean back. If some of y'all might be able to drop all the way back and put your head on the ground. That's fine, but you want to be careful that you don't overdo this. Now we're going to come back and we're going to start doing some bar stretches and some other type of stuff, but let's just finish up for this segment of the thing by just laying back and hold your hands for support and go all the way to the ground and try and touch your back to the ground.